Good morning, CenterPointe Church. Thank you so much for joining us online today. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Let's worship together.
Well, good morning, CenterPointe Church. We are so glad that you've joined us this morning. My name is Randy. I'm on staff here, and I just want to tell you about a few things. You know, ever since we started this whole online service only thing, I've been doing these announcements every single week to a completely empty room. It's kind of awkward. I miss you. I miss you being right here in front of me. I miss your faces. But guess what? Soon. In fact, next week, June 28th, we are opening our doors to have live services at our Copley campus. That's right. I'm excited. I know you're excited. But wait, before you bust down those doors, we need to know a few things. We want to make sure that this is a clean and safe environment for us to worship together in. So this past week, Pastor Tom put out a Facebook video giving you all the details on how we are going to open up this campus. If you didn't see that video or you can't find it, that's okay. We have an email. If you've not already received it, you will receive it this week, giving you all the details, all the information on how we are opening the campus. Now make sure you read that information. It's very important. Not sure that you're going to get that email? Please fill out this Connect card. It will ensure that you get all the information you need. That's right. Next week, June 28th, we are open live services right here in person. I don't have to stand here by myself. It's going to be amazing. But for now, let's continue with this excitement and continue to worship.
His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and their family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you and
God that's a good Father. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm loved by you. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I am. Let's worship together. Oh, I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we ever say a word. You're a good, good Father. Come on, that's who you are. Let's declare it. That's who you are. Yes, Lord. That's who you are, and I'm loved by you. I am who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. Come on, lift your voice. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. There's nobody like you, Lord. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. Yes, to us. Oh, his love so undeniable. I can hardly speak. He's so undeniable. I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, you're a good, good Father. Come on, sing it. It's who you are. We declare it. Who you are. That's who you are. Who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. Yes, Lord. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm loved by you. Yeah, who I am. That's who I am. Hey, it's who I am. Good, good Father. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm loved by you. Always love. Forever love. That's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. Right where you are, just worship him. He is perfect in all of your ways. Lift your voices and say, perfect in all of your ways to us. And we lift that up again and say, you are perfect in all of your ways. You are faithful, Lord. Perfect
in all of your ways.
You're mighty and powerful, Lord. Perfect in all of your ways to us, to us. Oh, you are perfect in all of your ways. You are righteous in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. the everlasting Father to us, oh God. When things around us seems dim, dark and cloudy, God, you give us peace in the midst of the storm. Thank you for your love is so unexplainable. You loved us when we don't love ourselves. And God, we thank you because we've seen your goodness. We've seen your goodness time and time again. So we just give your name the praise, the glory, and all the honor. Because there is nobody like you, Father. Send peace to homes right now. Send healing to bodies. God, whatever your people stand in need of today, we ask that you just do a miracle for them in the name of Jesus that we pray. And everybody says amen.
Well, good morning, CenterPointe Church, and happy Father's Day. I'm hoping that you are having a great time today, wherever you are and whatever you are doing.
Happy Father's Day. I hope you have are you all set for Father's Day?
I am all set for Father's Day. I got the kids. I got it all done.
Did they give you presents?
No.
I brought you a Father's Day present.
You're so awesome.
I am.
Isn't he great?
I don't want to get your germs, so are you going to put it on?
Then you just touch this?
Well, Sue wore it before, so it's all
Great,
fine.
great. This is awesome. This is
So
good.
what are we doing today?
We have a Father's Day giveaway. I hope you enter because you have the chance to win a Home Depot card or an Academy Sports card or even a Buffalo Wild Wings card. I hope you did. Oh, wait, I did say Academy, right?
You did.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
you
Which
did.
one do you want?
Just this one.
I just said which one you want. Move. We're going to go ahead and pull your name.
All right.
I hope you got your name in here. You had 3 chances to do
you're wearing
this.
these next week.
Am I?
Yeah, I'm wearing them. You're wearing them. You're wearing them. If you're coming to the church, you have to. Anyway, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. I get to wear the mask. Okay, great. Look, I'm going to have you pull, but I'm going to tell them, I'm going to read it, okay?
All right, all right.
Okay? I said, I'm going to read it. All you had to do was pull. You had one job.
Tom Walker.
Give me the name. Okay. Tony DeRoma, you got a Home Depot card just for you. Now, if you don't want it, I will buy it. Oh, that's a nice one. I'll give you $5 for your card. Okay, great.
So did your kids nominate you?
Probably not.
Mine either.
They don't like me that much.
There's something wrong with this picture. I'm not pulling any more names. If my name's not in there, I'm not pulling any
It's
more
not
names.
about us. It's about the people right now.
It's not about us. It's about me.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the other name because now he's being defiant. We have Dave Porter.
All
Dude,
right.
you got it. Okay.
Oh,
yes.
police officer.
Yes, you get an Academy Sports card just for you. All right, who's going to get the Buffalo card? Who's going to?
This guy, I don't even want him to get it.
I'll tell you. Don Lacheski, you want a Buffalo Wild Wings card. Hey, guys, I hope that you have a wonderful Father's Day. From me and
Tom.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, we got a video for you.
Really,
Pay attention to this
seriously.
video, okay? That's what you do.
See ya.
Bye.
Dad, did you get a haircut? No, I got them all cut.
Why can't a nose be 12 inches long? Because then it would be a foot.
Oh!
What time did the man go to the dentist? Tooth hurting.
How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. 10 tickles. All right.
I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. Oh my God. That's horrible.
I don't play soccer because I enjoy the sport. I'm just doing it for kicks.
Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. There you go, Scarecrow. Perfect.
Dad, can you put the cat out? I didn't know it was on fire.
What do you call cheese that isn't yours? Nacho cheese. Nacho cheese? I didn't get that one. Nacho? Nacho cheese. Okay, I got it. Nacho cheese.
This graveyard looks overcrowded. People must be dying to get in. That's one I would use right there.
You know, people say they pick their nose, but I feel like I was just born with mine. It takes guts to be an organ donor. Oh boy.
When does a joke become a dad joke? When it becomes apparent.
Well, good morning, church, CenterPointe Church. My name is Pastor Devon. I am one of the teaching pastors here. It happens to be Father's Day, and I want to wish all you fathers a happy Father's Day. And I hope that you are served today, hand and foot, however that saying goes, by your family today. Pizza, chicken wings, ice cream, particularly party time. I'm sending a subliminal message to my own family. Church, I'm tasked with bringing you a message today, and I do hope that you tune in and enjoy. Let's jump right into it. Church, I never wanted to get married. I did not plan on having children. I was the uncle of 4 nephews, 1 niece, now 3, and it was no need for me to have children of my own. They gave me plenty of life. I felt as though it was my job to support their parents in being the best parents that they could be. Having the responsibility without having the responsibility was great for me. I would take my niece and nephews Mother's Day shopping for their parents, Father's Day shopping for their parents. I would make dates with them. Now, my nephews, Jonathan and Anthony, they didn't enjoy me as much as my niece Gianna did, simply because I was a harsh disciplinarian. Well, quite frankly, my niece Gianna, she was spoiled. Taking them to McDonald's, getting them candy, whatever they demanded felt good to me. Sugaring them up and sending them back home to their parents, hey, that was good for me. Grandparents, I know you understand what I'm saying. I was just an uncle, but believe me, it felt good to do that. Now, truth be made clear. The reason I didn't want to become a parent was because of all the statistics that were thrown in my face. I hated those statistics. I heard them over and over and over again. They were drilled directly into me. An example, if I survived the age of 25 and was not incarcerated as a black male, then I was doing good. And if I reached the age of 40, then I had a high possibility of surviving. And that was if heart disease and diabetes didn't take me out. Now, having a 2-parent home, that upped my odds of survival. Statistics I did not like. I didn't want to get married because the possibility of surviving marriage or my marriage surviving, that rate in our country, it made it seem pointless. Now, as many of you know, I grew up in a Christian home. My mother was in charge of leading when it came to becoming a Christ follower. My father, he was in charge of leading me and educating me in the ways of the world. My father did have a rougher upbringing. He didn't place his stakes over in Positiveville very often, not till later in life. He had a harsh upbringing. He grew up in a time that we now call Jim Crow. In the Deep South, in the Mississippi Delta, to be exact. My father taught me some things like, listen to your mama. If the crowd is going this way, and you know it's the wrong way, you go that way. If someone asks you to do something stupid, and you just sit and wait, don't just sit and wait, you run. Always learn. Value education, because no matter what, no one can ever take your education from you. Now, if you are lazy, you aren't going to have. Now, my father, let me pause for just a second to let you know, because I'm talking so much about my father. I'm remembering, my father passed about 5 years ago. I'm remembering how my father talked. My father was a cusser. He was not a curser. He did not just use curse words. He was a cusser. And I almost cussed right here when I was telling you about this. So if I slip up, I'm sorry. If you're lazy, you ain't gonna have a thing. If you borrow something, you better return it in a better condition than you received it. because you shouldn't be borrowing it anyway. Now, this next point my father made sure he taught me, he did it in a certain way. My sister Jackie and I was just discussing this the other day. My father would point at himself. He would look at his finger. My father's name is Rainer Warner. He would look at himself. He was called Ray for short, and he would say, Ray, shut up. Because what you got to say, they ain't going to listen to anyway. Remembering that would crack me up. Sometimes I would find myself pointing at myself saying, just. Now, parents, specifically fathers, we parent from the perspective of the lens that we are generally given. What I mean is this. If we felt as though our parents were lacking over here, then we, as trying to be good parents, made sure that we compensated over here. If our parents we felt were way too much over here, then we made sure we didn't do so much over here. Now, if our parents, we felt as though they got it right over here, then we are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure our kids have whatever that was, got it right. No matter what it takes, no matter what it does, we make sure they get it. As fathers, we are called to be a few things to our children or to those we are placed to lead. We are providers. We are protectors. We are advocates. We are teachers. We are disciplinarians. I want us to just kind of focus loosely on just one of those, and that's teaching. But before I do, let me inform you of a few things. I told you earlier I did not want to get married. I told you earlier I did not want to be a parent, but they got me, y'all. Not only did I get married, but I do have children of my own. Let me tell you a little bit about them. I am the very proud parent of 4.5 children. I'll get to the 0.5, just understand, just stay with me. Diane Warner, Her Royal Highness herself. She is my firstborn, and I do label my kids that way: firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn, fourthborn. I do that. If they call me, that's what comes up. She's a college graduate, a certified EMT. She knows how to sass her dad better than anybody else. My daughter is actually on a whole other endeavor that she would kill me if I told you guys about. Javante Warner, my secondborn. That man has made this man so proud. He has decided to pursue his career in joining our armed forces. My son, Tyron Warner, my thirdborn, he has decided to pursue a career in his education, in protecting our community and becoming one of our police officers. My son, Onesimus Warner Jr., my 13-year-old, soon to be 14. Now, if you've never prayed before, I want you to pray for me right now, because something happens between 13 and 14 that we just can't ascertain. They become some different people. You know what I'm saying. If you have a 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, you know what I'm saying. But my son, he would greet his father. That's what he calls me. For some reason, he gets an accent when he speaks to me, with a run and jump in the arms when I get home. Now, my 4.5, he came to me a few years ago. My pseudo-adopted son, Aaron Tyler. Boy, did he teach me some lessons. Lessons I didn't even know I needed to learn. But he taught me so much. Now, Aaron, who is now living in the far-off land of Ohio, is still teaching me lessons today. Now, after becoming a father, I was going to do my best to make sure my kids knew that I supported them. They were not going to become any of those statistics that I mentioned earlier. That was my job. I was going to make sure that that did not happen with them. I was at every sporting event, every one of them that I could make it, screaming till I embarrassed them. Yes. And Diane, I'm still a little bitter about you not allowing me to come to your softball games. Now I think I know the reason why you're a little embarrassed. It's okay. I still love you. Now, church, I want to tell you that my father, he was not supportive in that area for a little while. My siblings supported me only because they had to drive my mother. But my father was not an event goer. He would give me money, he would do whatever, money, rides, whatever. He would make sure I was where I needed to be and make sure I had whatever I needed. But him having his rear in his seat, that simply was not his beat. That's not what he did. But I knew my father supported me, even though I didn't see him out in the crowd. But however, that perspective of lens that I was telling you about earlier, I made sure that my kids saw me there. My father did make a transition when it came to supporting me physically in the seat. It was my first concert at college. I went to college at a small private black college called Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi. My father was still living in Gary, Indiana, because he had to finish up work. He was on the last leg of his retirement, and he came down, picked up my mother, who was getting their retirement home ready, picked up my mother in the middle of the state, and drove her and my sister to this event. When my sister walked in the door, I was like, oh, my cousin must have given them a ride. My mother walked in the door, I was so happy. Behind my mother was my father. From that moment on, my father made sure that he knew, he made sure that I knew that he supported me in a different way. My graduation from college, I didn't know who was graduating, whether it was me or him. He was so proud of me, and every chance he got to remind me of that, he reminded me of that pride. He was so supportive and proud. And when I became a father, he showed up at the house every day, checking on his baby girl, making sure she was all right. She had diapers and clothes and whatever else. But after he played with her, he hung around a little bit just to check in with me and make sure that I was okay. Making sure that I knew that he had my back, that no matter what, he would stand for me. Church, he was teaching me how to be an advocate. My father also taught me how to treat money, respect for my elders by using ma'am and sir. What to do in the case I was stopped by an officer of the law. Where to position my hands, how to respond in a tone of respect. Also, what neighborhoods to stay out of. Who to choose as friends. Now, by teaching me these points, it was his way of protecting me. Now, I must pause for just a moment to be clear. My father taught me these things not because he hated the police, and I'm not telling you this because I hate the police. Actually, I want to make it very clear. I support our police department. They don't make enough money to do what they do. It's a career that I thought about pursuing because I know I would look good in that uniform. However, they don't make enough money. Sadly, let's move on. My father grew up in a time and a place where an African American, man or woman, could be taken from their home without true cause. Now, church, I questioned my father on why I had to know this stuff. Sitting in his garage, his pseudo sanctuary, he told me a story about a young man that was visiting his family not too far from where my father was. This young man was from Chicago. He was visiting his family in Mississippi. Things happened, and this young man was accused of being inappropriate, flirting with a woman, a white woman. Things transpired and progressed, and this young man, who was 14, was taken from the home he was visiting. He was taken from this home. He was beaten. He was mauled. He was shot in the head. and his body was dumped in a nearby river, only to be discovered days later. This atrocity and a parent grief-ridden outrage is known to this day. It is believed to this day to be what commenced what we now know as the civil rights movement that started in the 50s here in our United States. Emmett Till's mother, she insisted that the world would see what happened to her baby. She insisted on having an open casket funeral so that the world could see the image was too much for the world to handle. My father's teaching was to help me survive the history that he knew. This atrocity that happened, I already told you my father grew up in the Mississippi Delta. It happened right there. Emmett Till was only a month older than my father at the time. He was teaching me from the perspective of the lens that he was given. I was his duty to make sure that I would withstand the powers that may not value me with compliance. When I recently found myself having to remind my sons of this same protocol, it hurt. Although I was educated to believe differently and challenged to think differently, it still hurt. It still hurt to be reminded that our past is not that far in the rearview mirror. Fathers, we must begin to teach a different lesson, one of respect, justice, and love. We must think about the lessons that we are giving. We must think about the lessons that we are teaching and make sure they are lessons that are worth teaching. Not teaching them simply because it's what we think we know or because it's what we've been taught. We must learn to look beyond what is presented and give the truth for all it's worth. Now, what is truth? The truth we will find right in the Word of God. That's where we will find it. My Father's truths that he gave me. Remember I told you, listen to your mama. That was found in Proverbs 1:8. When he told me, following the crowd to do stupid, church, that's found in Exodus 23:2. When someone asks you to be stupid, that's found in Proverbs 1:10-18. To get wisdom and value education, that's found in Proverbs 4:7-8. Now, being lazy, that's also found in Proverbs 10:4. Proverbs was basically written by a man who wanted to teach his children some very important lessons. I used to punish my children by making them sit. Whenever they did something, we would study the Word. We would study Proverbs 1 chapter a day. They still are reminded of that. It actually wasn't a punishment. It became more of a lesson. Let me keep on point. Romans 13:8, about the responsibility of borrowing. Oh, he taught me that, but this is the one I want to make sure you pay attention to, because this one right here, right now, is what we need to do in our world. James 1:19 says, "Know this, my beloved brother, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Be willing to listen with the intent to understand." That is what we need to do. In Scripture, church, we find direction, we find confidence and comfort and truth. One of the most important scriptures as a Christ follower, is John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Whoever believes in him shall not die, but will have eternal life. Colossians 3:13. I'm going to go through these scriptures, but I don't want to rush through them, but I don't want to rush through them, but I want you to understand them. Colossians 3:13. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Ephesians 4:31 through 32 reads, get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ forgave you. Now, I know I can end this message right here because we are all guilty. Yet, we have the privilege of his forgiveness. Now, I wish also that I could say that what we are seeing is new. It isn't. Our class, cultural, racial, human divide is not brand new. Brutality towards black and brown minorities is nothing new. We find the truth in the word as well about this. Ecclesiastes 1:9. There is nothing new under the sun. Now, this next verse, it is also not new, but one that needs to be refreshed over and over and over again. In this time, give you just a little bit, there were some people coming after our Christ, Jesus Christ. They were coming after him, trying to catch him up so that they would have a reason to get rid of him. Someone asked the question, Lord, what commandment do you say is most important? This was Jesus' response. He answered, the most important is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. Now, if you're doing all of that, you have no time to do anything else. You have no time to let hate take a root in your heart if you're doing all of that anyway. But the second is this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than this. I agree. If we can find ourselves to just place that love out in the front and love whoever, whatever, no matter what, there would be so much less hate in the world. Devon, what are you saying? I am saying we must embody that previous verse, Mark 12:29 through 31. And then add that timeless lesson that my Father makes sure he taught. James 1:19. Shut up and listen. Be willing to have a conversation. It may be hard, but it's doable. Let me be very clear. There are people hurting. And all we have to do is shut up and listen. Correct our lens of perspective. Make sure it's the angle that we should be taking that view out of. Church, I hope that no one is offended by the words that I've said. And if you are, as the old people would say, charge it to my head and not my heart, because it was not my intent to offend you. I love you. Have a great Sunday.
What a great word that we had from Pastor Devon today. There were so many important points in that. I hope you took notes. If you didn't, you should go back and listen to it again, because there's things that we need to take away as dads, even as parents, as human beings that we can apply to our lives. But I tell you what stood out to me was that those last few words, shut up and listen. You know, I know that sometimes I just need to be quiet and listen to someone else talk. Try to understand what they're feeling. Try to understand the world from their point of view. Because you know what happens? When I shut up and listen, lots of times God speaks through them into my life. So I hope you'll take advantage of that piece of information and that you will learn it, practice it, and bring out life changer because of it. Next Sunday, June 28th, we'll be in person at the Copley campus doing our services again. Now, if you aren't aware of all of the innuendos about that, you can check your email, because the email should have been sent to you with all the information about us opening our doors in the Copley campus next Sunday, June 28th. If you didn't get that email or lost it somewhere along the way, you can call into the church office and we'll get that right out to you. We're excited about our next Sunday being live in person here at the Copley campus. We will still be online at all services, 8:30, 10, and 11:30 next week. Well, dads, I hope you have a great day. And I know you're going to have to do the grilling, but make sure someone else does the cleaning. And may you have a happy Father's Day. I'll see you next week.